Ever since the UK passed the Online Safety Act, websites have just bent over backwards, being like, sure, we'll just mandate everybody to use ID verification, even if the websites aren't even based in the UK. But there are two websites in particular that have said, no, we're not doing that shit. And that is 4chan and Kiwi Farms. Both websites have basically filed a lawsuit in the US federal court challenging the UK's new Online Safety Act by basically saying, we don't even operate in the UK. The reason why this is even happening is because the UK's Ofcom, which is their Office of Communications, did an investigation into 4chan where they basically said that the site violated the Online Safety Act and set fines of $26,000 per day for non-compliance. Basically, if they don't mandate their users to give them ID verification, they're going to get fined $26,000 a day. 4chan rejected that shit and said, nope, we're going to take this to court then. And this has been going on since July 25th, 2025, when the UK's Online Safety Act came into effect. The law argues that there should be mandatory age checks for content such as intimate content, self-harm forums, and other restricted material. Any website that doesn't have ID verification will be fined or blocked by internet service providers. Well, in terms of 4chan, they didn't go through the blocking route, they went through the fining route. So basically, because Ofcom is trying to sue 4chan and Kiwi Farms, they're basically going to go ahead and sue the UK government and say that this law constitutes foreign judgments that would restrict speech under US law. There's a 22-page document going over the lawsuit that we're going to go over right now, but we'll do it in our usual style where we're just trying to do a Spark Notes version of it. We'll make it quick. So this is the start of the lawsuit document, and the first few paragraphs are going to be pretty interesting. I saw the internet reacting to this, and a lot of what 4chan and Kiwi Farms argued in their lawsuit is considered pretty controversial. So they basically said, the internet is a global system of communication between computer servers located in data centers around the world. Despite the internet's global reach, it is more or less universally acknowledged that the internet is, predominantly, an American innovation built by American citizens, residents, and companies, and that the United States has the largest and most thriving technology sector of any G7 member state. Foreign governments, particularly those in Europe, which have not managed to build technology sectors of their own, have, for the past half decade or more, sought to control the American internet and hobble American competitiveness through a range of legislative and non-legislative initiatives. These foreign governments have threatened American and other non-European entrepreneurs with a wide range of coercive threats, including fines, arrest, and imprisonment for engaging in conduct which is perfectly lawful in the territories where their websites are based. Now, before we read the rest of this, I'm starting to get a little bit of a hint that this lawsuit might start becoming more of like a United States versus UK type thing. I really hope that when this is argued in court, it doesn't go down the route of like, oh, which country did what and which country is superior or whatever. This should not be a situation of who did better for the internet, the United States or the United Kingdom. It should be a situation between defending the privacy of people on the internet against a government that is forcing people to give up ID verification on almost every website they use. Let's keep it to what it actually is. Let's not turn this into a UK versus US thing. The UK recently joined France in seeking to apply its domestic laws to the rest of the world with the enactment of its censorship law, the Online Safety Act 2023. Immediately after the OS's substantive provisions entered into force, this censorship law was used to target the free speech rights of American citizens. Ofcom now uses those powers to communicate written threats to impose ruinous civil penalties and referrals to law enforcement for criminal penalties, including arrest and imprisonment, to American real and corporate citizens if Ofcom's orders are not obeyed. This lawsuit seeks to restrain Ofcom's conduct and its continuing egregious violations of American civil rights, including without limitation to the right of freedom of speech. So basically, they start going into the fact that 4chan is formed under the laws of Delaware. Delaware used to be a colony of Great Britain, but in 1776, they are no longer a colony of Great Britain, and that Kiwi Farms is formed under the laws of West Virginia, and how West Virginia was originally part of the British Virginia colony, but once the US got independence, they were a part of America after that. So basically, they're trying to say, yeah, we used to be a part of you guys, but we're not anymore, so we don't answer to the UK and the laws that they pass. So in the lawsuit, they say that Ofcom has committed unlawful acts within the District of Columbia by sending threatening communications to US-based internet companies that interfere with their constitutional rights and business operations. Additionally, Ofcom is engaged in substantial and not isolated activity within the United States through its systematic targeting of US-based internet platforms, with its enforcement actions including reportedly larger American social media companies including X, Rumble, and Reddit, which have direct effects within this jurisdiction. So apparently Ofcom has targeted big websites like Twitter, Rumble, and Reddit, basically saying you need to follow our laws, otherwise we're going to have to fine you guys. They're talking about how 4chan, even though it's controversial, still operates fully in the compliance with the laws of the United States, meaning they shouldn't have anything illegal on their website, but obviously sometimes things can slip through the cracks, but those things are against their rules and they try to mandate it. 4chan's website and its editorial decisions regarding what content its website hosts are protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. 4chan has no presence, operations, or infrastructure outside of the territorial limits of the United States. Kiwi Farms is a website and discussion forum that focuses on internet culture. It is owned by lolcow, one of the most well-known small websites in the world. kind of a weird way to put it. Same thing, they say Kiwi Farms, while controversial, still operates fully in compliance with the laws of the United States and West Virginia, and that they have no presence or infrastructure outside of the United States. So Ofcom is a statutory corporation charged with regulating broadcasting and online communications with the United Kingdom. I will basically summarize what's going to be going on here. They're basically saying that Ofcom has no right to regulate or threaten any type of website that operates in the United States. And apparently, according to this lawsuit, Ofcom describes itself as, quote, independent of government and the companies we regulate. They also say that Ofcom is not funded directly by taxpayers or the government. Most of Ofcom's funding comes from fees paid to us by the companies we regulate to cover the cost of the work we do in their sectors. Yikes. So basically, the majority of their funding is from the fees that they charge websites that supposedly break their rules, meaning they're essentially incentivized to just randomly charge websites for fees so they can keep themselves in operation. Ofcom states on its website, "We do not censor what people write or post on the internet. Our job is to make sure that online services take steps to keep their users safe." They also state that they're not responsible for removing online content, and they won't require companies to remove content or particular accounts. Our job is to help build a safer life online by making sure firms have effective systems in place to prevent harm and protect the people using their services. A website can easily protect their users without having to force everybody on the website to provide ID verification. Specifically, Ofcom is responsible for administering the Online Safety Act, a UK law that purports to regulate online content globally, including content hosted on servers in the United States and an independent state. So yeah, 4chan and Kiwi Farms are really going in on Ofcom, basically saying, why the hell are you guys trying to mandate our stuff? We're not even in your country, nor do we operate in your country. So why the hell would UK law apply to us, and how the hell can you just threaten to sue us based on law that you passed in your own country? OSA purports to require the plaintiffs to verify the age of their users. This would prevent users from using plaintiff services anonymously or pseudo-anonymously. Basically, it would violate the privacy of their users to mandate ID verification. Plaintiffs permit users to post on their services pseudo-anonymously or anonymously. So basically, Kiwi Farms and 4chan actually want it to be okay for people to post things without requiring any of their information on the website. The First Amendment protects plaintiffs' rights to permit anonymous use of their platforms, which necessarily involves not verifying their users' age or identities, as well as plaintiffs' users' rights to plaintiffs' platforms anonymously and without verifying their age or identity. So while I'm going through this, right, we're about the halfway mark now, it's pretty sad that 4chan and Kiwi Farms are willing to fight against the UK and their laws. But YouTube's just like, all right, cool, if you guys are gonna say that we should ask for ID verification, I guess we'll ask for it. I'm sure YouTube is compelled in some way or another to kind of just go along with the whole ID verification thing. I just wish they would have put up more of a fight, man. Under Section 113 of the Online Safety Act, failure to respond to a Section 100 order or a defective or evasive response to a Section 100 order is punishable by civil fines, criminal charges, criminal fines, 6 months imprisonment when tried summarily, or even imprisonment for up to 2 years when tried on an indictment. Ofcom threatened plaintiffs with all of these penalties for non-compliance. So they're essentially threatening to throw these guys in jail over this shit. I don't know, man. Ofcom also claims that it may require United States citizens to comply with information notices and potentially incriminate themselves on demand without Ofcom first obtaining a judicial warrant or serving a request under the UK-United States Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty procedure. Ofcom has demanded that the plaintiffs comply with the Online Safety Act, which would require them to remove user-generated content and implement content moderation policies that treat them as publishers of third-party content. Ofcom's actions conflict with the plaintiff's Section 230 protections. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act immunizes providers of interactive computer services from liability for content created by their users, but Ofcom's demands would impose such liability on the plaintiffs by treating plaintiffs as the publisher or speaker of their user's speech. So essentially, they would punish the website themselves for the content that their users post. Here's the real kicker here. On April 14, 2025, Ofcom sent a so-called legally binding information notice to 4chan. The 4chan information notice stated that, quote, failure to comply with it may also constitute a criminal offense, and that failure to provide that requested information in readable form to Ofcom may result in a fine of £18 million or 10% of 4chan's worldwide turnover, arrest, and/or imprisonment for a term of up to 2 years, or a fine, or both. God damn, man. The 4chan failure to respond to information notice letter stated that 4chan was required to comply with the 4chan information notice, threatened a penalty of £18 million or 10% of 4chan's worldwide revenue, whichever is greater, so basically they just want more money, and advised 4chan that failing to comply with the 4chan information notice was a criminal offense. Then Ofcom sent them another letter on June 9th of this year, which intended to open an investigation into 4chan for suspected violations of illegal content, risk assessment duties, safety duties about illegal content, and record keeping and review duties. And then on June 16, 2025, they sent them a final notice stating that failure to comply with it may also constitute a criminal offense. That failure to provide the requested information in readable form to Ofcom may result in that same fine that they were talking about, or imprisonment, or a fine, or both. So for many months in 2025, Ofcom has been hounding 4chan, basically being like, hey, if you don't follow our Online Safety Act, we're going to throw your asses in jail. We're going to sue you guys. We're going to fine you guys. Or both. We're just going to make your guys' lives very difficult. So also they were sending Kiwi Farms a bunch of emails and messages too, saying that Ofcom is the quote regulator for online safety in the UK under the UK's Online Safety Act. And they also said it does not matter where you or your business are based. The new duties will apply to you or your business if the service you provide has links to the UK. Well, then why don't you guys just block Kiwi Farms and 4chan in the UK? Why are you guys going down the route of suing them for possibly millions of dollars/pounds? Clearly, we know where your guys' interests lie because you guys could just block the websites, but instead, they're like, you know what? Let me go ahead and fine your guys' asses for millions of dollars. And the Kiwi Farms advisory letter further stated that failure to comply with Ofcom's demands may result in enforcement action, including financial penalties of £18 million or up to 10% of a regulated service's worldwide revenue, whichever is greater. So again, it's always this whichever is greater thing. They just want money at the end of the day. So Kiwi Farms then blocked the UK from accessing their website, which again seems fair enough. If Ofcom is threatening them and saying, hey, we got to either block you guys or fine your shit, Kiwi Farms might as well block people from the UK from accessing the website, but I'm going to assume that they're still being sent fines. So then basically Kiwi Farms said the Online Safety Act is essentially acting like the Constitution doesn't exist. Parliament does not have that authority. That issue was settled decisively 243 years ago in a war that the UK's armies lost and are not in any position to relitigate. So they're essentially bringing up the American Revolutionary War and saying, we already beat you guys, so now we don't have to listen to you guys anymore. Again, I'm a little concerned this is turning into a whole UK versus US thing. I really feel like that muddies the message of what exactly is going on here. Hopefully Kiwi Farms and 4chan don't try to take the route of like, nah, man, we beat you guys in a war, so we don't have to listen to you guys anymore. If you want to take that route, then fair enough. But at the end of the day, let's focus on what this actually is, because there's a lot of people in the UK that could be agreeing with us over in the United States as well. This is not about US versus UK. This is about the privacy of the people on the internet versus a government that is trying to take our privacy away from us. It doesn't matter if you're American, from the UK, China, India, Mexico, it doesn't matter. I think most people on earth, especially people on the internet, can agree that our privacy is important. So hopefully this doesn't become this whole country versus country type of thing. So they're going into more of how Ofcom was trying to intimidate the plaintiffs and saying, we're going to fine you guys and we're going to suppress you guys. And so that's essentially where the court document ends. They're just going into the fact that Ofcom has basically been trying to play like the whole world's like leader and being like, here, you guys have to do this, this, and this. Yes, we passed this law in our country, but it doesn't fucking matter. It applies to you guys too. And if you guys don't listen to us, we're going to fine you guys, throw you in jail, or both. And when we do fine you guys, we're going to make sure that we're going to fine you guys for whatever is greater. So at the end of the day, like I said, it is about money. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the situation in the comments. I'm sure I missed some details in this, but I wanted to try to make this as concise as possible. It's a good thing that 4chan and Kiwi Farms and websites like that are trying to fight against the UK government to try to make it so the whole Online Safety Act thing doesn't just go all over the world. If it's a law that you guys passed, then keep it over there. Why are you guys trying to bring it over to other countries? Please leave a like in the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See ya.